Homestead versus Luers. As far as this game goes, what do you see as being the biggest keys? Because we've seen Luers score in a variety of ways using Austin Mack, but is the question whether Homestead can stop him or make sure the ball isn't in his hands on special teams, on offense? Defensively, he's returned interceptions for touchdowns. What do you do?
That's the big question. I think that's, and Homestead's defense has been underwhelming for most of the season. So now you have an Austin Mack who has just been incredible the last 3-4 weeks of the season, just dominating. And I don't think you can keep the ball out of his hands, at least offensively, because they're finding ways to get it in his hands. Either the wildcat, quick screens, quick slam. I mean, they're getting the ball in his hands. If you are Homestead, you do not kick to him at all. You kick it out of bounds every time. I don't care if it's a kickoff, opening kickoff. You're kicking it out of bounds. I mean, you just can't let that kid get the ball in his hands in the return game. He's just dominating. And you can at least limit his touches in a return game. Just don't kick to him. I mean, just kick sideways. I mean, seriously, you have to do it.
Carroll found out that the tough way.
Seriously.
When they gave up 6 total touchdowns to him, including a 99-yard touchdown return. For Homestead, what do they have to do? Is this a game where they go in saying, okay, we've got to stop Austin Mack? Or is this a game where they go in saying, let's just score as many points as we can and let the rest play itself out?
I don't think, Coach Zolman goes into it like that, but I think that's what it's going to come down to. I mean, you're just going to have to outscore them. I just do not see holding Luers under 20 points. I mean, we talk about losing Wazinski, and maybe that costs them a state title at quarterback. Jack Johnston's no slouch. I mean, he's going to be able to throw the ball, and as the weeks go on, he's getting more and more comfortable at quarterback. So, Luers is still going to score points, and Homestead's best shot is just outscore him.
We mentioned earlier in the show that Dwenger has the best front 7 defensively, perhaps, in the area. Snyder obviously up there with Lawrence Johnson, but Luers, their front line defensively, really tough, big, and physical. How does Homestead deal with that as far as an offensive line goes? And maybe do they move the quarterback around a little bit more? Although we've seen a lot of mobility out of Drew Kazai. It hasn't necessarily been throwing on the run. It's just been taking off and running. Is that going to be a big test for them this week in your eyes?
Yeah, I think so. And maybe you do roll Kazai out a little bit. Maybe you do a lot of quick slants and getting the balls into those wide receivers' hands, which are obviously the playmakers for Homestead. So I think that's huge, getting the ball out quick. Slowly developing plays just aren't going to work against Luers, because I expect that front 7 to really dictate the play against the offensive front of Homestead.
How intriguing of a game is this in your eyes? Because these teams, while we've seen them play a ton over the years, haven't played each other before.
Yeah.
So I know they train in the offseason together. They know each other very well. They're familiar. But going up against each other on a Friday night, has a different feel to it this time around for these guys when they play each other for the first time.
Yeah, to me, it's just another week of, what does Austin Mack do now? What does he do next? I mean, the kid has just been the dominant. I think, previous years we've seen the potential, much like most college coaches did in recruiting him. We just hadn't seen that dominance yet. We've seen flashes of it as a junior, as a sophomore, but to game, just to be the best player on the field clearly, and everybody knew he was getting the ball clearly, and nobody still can't stop him. I mean, it's just amazing how he's, stiff-arming people, and it looks like he's stiff-arming like third graders,
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, it's just crazy, and, can Homestead be another team that's going to try to slow him down? I don't know if they can or not. I think they're just going to have to score in the 40s to have a shot.
Obviously, I don't see everybody across the state, and I know you don't, but over the past couple of weeks, has there been a better player in the state of Indiana than Austin Mack all across the board?
I don't think so. Maybe some people going for bigger numbers, but they're not playing the quality of opponents.
But is he a candidate? Because he missed some time early. Is he a candidate for Mr. Football? A viable candidate? I know people talk about the Indy bias and things like that.
Yeah.
Jalen obviously helped break that, but is he a guy that even missing a couple of those games can still be in the race and really truthfully considered for Mr. Football?
He should be. Maybe people are going to hold the 2 games missed out of it. I mean, the problem with Mr. Football is, you mentioned it, the bias, and not only that, but how many people are seeing games up here. I don't pretend to see every game.
Right, and you have to advance in the playoffs if you're not from Indianapolis.
Right, exactly. You need to get more eyes. Now, the fact he's an Ohio State recruit obviously helps him. A lot of people know who Austin Mack is, as opposed to, let's say, a Mitchell Van Brocklin. Who knows Mitchell Van Brocklin down in Indy, just because of the team he plays for, and not a high-profile guy. Austin Mack, everybody knows who Austin Mack is. Everybody should be aware of what he's doing on the field throughout the state, and hopefully he gets respect for it and attention for it from Mr. Football.
Final question, the biggest key in Homestead versus Luers?
Slowing down Austin Mack. Or, I mean, don't kick to him. Do not kick to him. I mean, it's the same thing with Snyder and Mac Hippenhammer, because every Friday night I'm hearing about this return by Mac Hippenhammer. Like, why do people keep kicking to him? Why? I mean, just kick it out of bounds. So you're not going to limit his touches offensively. They're going to find ways to get him the ball. But in terms of on special teams, do not even give him the opportunity because he will make you pay.
He's pretty decent. He's a pretty decent
Solid.
player.